Hi, everybody. Sharona here. Welcome to today's episode of Conversation That Matter Most. And I'm here, of course, with my cohort, Claudette.
Hi everyone, Claudette here. So happy to be here with another conversation that matters most. It's really, I love this. I really look forward to having these conversations with you, Sharona, and with our audience.
Yes, I do too. And we talked about it a little bit last week, but I'm going to just bring it back around about the reason that we started doing this. And we both work in the field of empowering and improving and building confidence and strength and thriving for women, either midlife women or stepmoms.
Mm-hmm.
And so we know that these are conversations that affect who we are and the people that we work with. So we wanted to start putting this out so that other viewers can come see and listen and share their thoughts. This is not about if you like or agree or disagree, but it's just a stepping stone to help you jump off and have these conversations in your own life. And help start pondering what is important, what matters most to me. So that's what the reason we're doing this. And because it's dang fun. I'm just going to throw it out there. I don't know about you, Claudette, but this is dang fun,
It is. And right. Why do you think things that are not fun for us or that matter to us, right?
Right.
We're so used to doing things just because we have to or we're supposed to. We're doing this because it's important to us. It's important to our audience. And that's why we call it conversations that matter most.
Right. I remember one time that I asked somebody, I think it was a professor or something, is why is it that adults, we get so dang serious? And he goes, life is significant, but it doesn't have to be serious. And I go, you're right. We can have fun and take care of what needs to be taken care of at the same time. Yeah. And so with that in mind, our topic for today is what's wrong with me? Comparing
really?
What's wrong with me? I don't know. And the subtitle is Comparing is the Thief of Thriving.
Yeah.
So I think this all started when I was talking to several of my clients, and they were, here they are, midlife women, and they're still asking that question, what's wrong with me? I've done everything I should have done. I played by the rules. Why am I not happy? Why am I still confused? What's wrong with me? And I started realizing that as women, we are bombarded daily with things that we should be or look or act, or how we are supposed to be, either breastfeeding, not breastfeeding, it's like how much weight we should be, not have any wrinkles, shave everything on our body. Where did that come from, that shaving under our arms and our legs needs to be done? I don't understand that. Why is that, like, and now we made it that it's normal that if you see a woman with hairy armpits, oh my God, so that's something that I've been, why is it that we take this on to pick at ourselves every morning when we look in the mirror? Oh, there's a wrinkle. Instead of saying, oh, here I am, glory be.
Yeah. And I love what you shared about, like the shoulds. If there's an area that I know working with stepmoms, a lot of them are saying, what's wrong with me? Like, who said there's something wrong with you? And as I was sharing with you earlier, I'm at the beach. If you notice, I'm not in my usual location. And this morning I was at the ocean with my grandson, and I'm thinking, like, he's 3 years old. The one thing that does not come in his mind is what's wrong with me. And actually, when I'm looking at my grandkids, like I have 7 of them, and the younger ones, like from 6 on to the babies, they never say what's wrong with me. It's more like what's wrong with you rather than what's wrong with me, right? But I think it's important to understand that it's a learned thing, right? As we were talking earlier, I think we learn it because we compare ourselves to others and thinking, well, how come I'm not looking like this other person? Well, because you're not the other person. And stepmoms do this a lot, and I'm assuming like a lot of midlife women too are going, or at least doing that, not voluntarily or not realizing they're doing it, and the hurt they're creating themselves. And then, so when you start comparing yourselves, like as a stepmom, comparing yourself to the mom or to other stepmoms, your life is not at all like anybody else. Your life is your life. There are so many things that are different. Like I think of myself, and sometimes I'm the oldest daughter. I have 3 younger sisters, and I have an older brother that we just met about a year ago. But I grew up with 3 younger sisters. I'm the oldest of 3. And there were moments when one of my sisters would say, well, how come you get to do this? And how come you get to do that? And I was like, well, because I'm me, 1. 2, birth order makes a difference. And so, when you're looking at yourself, there's so many variables: where you grew up, your age, your birth order makes a difference, the people you interact with, whether the person, your friends. Like, why should you focus on other people? Like, saying what's wrong with me is like saying you're not good enough, right?
Right. And I think that goes into how as women we are raised. I think one of the things is because we have to, I was thinking about this. We as women are in many different cultures. We're in our family culture.
Yeah.
We're in our regional culture. We're in a religious culture for some of us. We're in a country's culture. So all those cultures are built. So we're trying to figure out who we are in the midst of all that, how we are supposed to act, how we're supposed to be, and so there's this constant, I think, almost internal battle of finding our confidence and our self-esteem. And years ago, I read this article, a study. I don't remember who did it or what, but they had this task. It was, I think, computers. And what they did is they had a group of men and a group of women doing the same task on the computer. Now, what happens is the computer was initially, it was made to not work right. It was made to, the majority of women kept saying, I'm doing something wrong.
Oh, wow.
The majority of men kept saying something's wrong with the computer. And I think as women, because we're taught to be the caregiver of everybody and the emotional holder for everybody, that when something goes wrong, we are taught that we're doing it wrong. And saying,
that is very powerful, Sharona. I mean,
yeah.
Really, like, let's just pause on this for a second. We are taught, taught that we are the emotional bearer of everything. Therefore, when something goes wrong, it must be your fault, right?
Right.
Like, that's like it's actually mind-boggling when you think about it.
Right. It's like, why? And we take it on because that's what we're conditioned to believe, that women need to be taking care of everybody and everybody else's needs, but we don't take care of ourselves. And then we're judged harshly about how we're doing it and how we look doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So here's a couple. So with that in mind, let's look at how can we stop using the comparing as a way of making ourselves wrong, that we're not good enough, we don't have enough, we're not, whatever that is, instead of reframing it and saying, what can I do for myself today so that I'm actually thriving and enjoying this day?
Yeah. And you know, one of the things that you said earlier, and you said we're looking for something, like we're looking for the self-esteem, we're looking for confidence. When we're looking, you know, sometimes people will have this mental picture looking for something outside of us, rather than looking inward. Instead of looking for something, how about looking inside? What's inside of you that you already possess?
Yeah, and saying that's enough. That I'm enough, I have enough, I'm enough.
Yeah.
I'm enough. And that's a lot. It's simple, but it isn't easy, because we're going, you know, especially as midlife women, we're trying to let go of all that stuff and trying and doing our best to bring that up, to say, you know, I'm enough, you know. It's interesting. I'm very physically active. I love exercise. I love dancing. I like doing it. It just helps me. I have done probably a bazillion push-ups, no matter how, or not push-ups, those sit-ups. No matter how many I do, I will never have a flat belly. It's never going to be flat. I'm never going to have a six pack. Right. I finally realized after all these years, I've been fighting my own body. I've been fighting because it didn't look like what other women look like. And then I realized nobody looks like what other women look like, because especially the images we see in the media, that's all tweaked, and, you know, they got an entourage to take, you know, the average woman. This is what we look like, people. They just put out an ad where they were showing full body, what they call full body women, which is actually probably the average person, you know, the average. And there was such an uproar that they were showing that women. And at one point they even showed a woman, a full body woman breastfeeding. Oh my God, there was an uproar, and they pulled the ad.
Oh my gosh. It's ridiculous, right? Because then we're wondering why our young daughters are growing up and having eating disorders, suicidal, doing drugs, cutting themselves, tattooing, or well, maybe not tattooing, but tonight, for me, whenever people are starting to change their physical appearance to the extreme, it's because they're hiding or whatever, you know. And so, you know, media is extremely powerful. Like you were talking about body image for midlife women and stuff like this. Well, if you're talking about a stepmom, that's the same thing, right? We're showing like the perfect, happy family, getting along, going on vacation, getting everything settled and resolved within a few hours. Like, really? It doesn't happen that way. It does not happen that way. And the thing is, we never see it behind the scenes. Like you were talking about full-fledged body women versus the cookie cutter type. You know, how much airbrushing was done on those, those things. Like when you're looking at movies with stepfamilies, how many behind the scenes arguments did they cut out that we've never seen? And, the negotiations, the dealing with the conflict, the tears, the cries, and we have to get back to reality, right?
Right. And I think one of the things, here's the thing is as women, we need to look at our life, especially if we're in a relationship or in working, whatever our life looks like, that we are actually the leaders of our life. We need to find that place within that's saying, this is what I need, this is what I want, this is what needs to be done. Let me do what I need to, as a leader. As a leader, instead of pushing ourselves back to the back of the line because we don't feel that we have anything to offer. And as a midlife woman, we got to remember, again, we've been on this planet, we have experience, we know certain things, we know how to be with people, those, we also have talents and skills and abilities that we can offer. And sometimes we get caught up in trying to fix other people and other things, or fix ourselves because we think we're broken. So instead, just, when you're seeing someone struggle, just give them that support they need, but you don't have to take it on.
Exactly. And you said something that I really want to come back and touch base, because I think it's really important. And it comes back to our comparing ourselves and seeing ourselves as what's wrong with me. You talked about we need to be leaders of ourselves, right?
Right.
As leaders, it's a big responsibility, but we also need role models. Meaning, and there's a very important difference between looking for a role model and looking to compare yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so we look at other people and we are trying to figure out, what they're doing. And then instead of saying like, oh my God, what's wrong with me? Look at what they're doing and say, how can I tweak my life or what's going on in my situation to reflect or improve towards where I want to go? And you were talking about your genius inside, your talents. We all have like some great talents. We tend to downplay them. And I think women, in your example earlier, where, they had this computer, men looked at it and said, there's a problem with the computer. Women would look at it and think, well, what's wrong with me? I can't fix it. Instead of going through that way, look at what you have. What are some of your talents? What are some of your geniuses? What are some of your wisdom, your strengths? And look for, ways of using those talents and wisdoms and strengths into your life. And so if you're not sure how to use them, then that's where you look for role models, leaders in your community, in the world. And I know personally, when I was growing up and I wanted to have a strong, positive role model for women. Now, back then, like a few years ago, there wasn't that many, and it was hard to find them. Or I would tend to say, well, I can't be like these people. I'm not even that smart, or they're rich, whatever excuse I would give myself. I can't be that gentle. I can't be that compassionate. It was excuses. Instead, now what I do is I look at who I am, inside of me, because a lot of what we're going through is inside of us, right?
Right.
And so looking at, what makes me, we're all unique. But I also look at, I admire this person. Like I admire Oprah, Diane Sawyer. I admire Sheryl Sandberg. I admire the founder of Stepmom. There are a lot of people I admire that are women, and then I look at what is it they do that I could model, not copy, not compare, but that I could put in my life, that I would feel that values who I am as an individual, as a woman, and that it would make me happy and fulfilled and help me to thrive, right? Because thriving is flourishing, is to help you grow and be something. If you think of a seed, and that's why we both like thriving, is that, if you look at a seed, it takes water, it takes sun, it takes the earth, it takes nurturing for it to grow and thrive, right? And it's growing, and the more it has all these nutrients, it's growing and it's thriving, and it's producing fruit, it's producing something for the environment. And so think of it that way. What is it, instead of comparing and putting yourself down, what is it that other people you admire and that you could bring into your life?
And I think it's also, I agree that, it's about looking at who has the qualities or something that I don't have that I admire, and I go, I wish I could do more of that. And then I think one of the steps is, I like to say, experiment. You need to experiment what works for you in your style, in your rhythm. For instance, I have the 3 a.m. insomnia. I have read umpteen bazillion articles about what I should and shouldn't do, things that I should and shouldn't take. Now, it's taken me a while to experiment to see what works for me and what doesn't. So for some people, melatonin works, doesn't work for me. Some people have having completely dark in the room. It's dark in the room. I don't need completely dark. Still, I get the 3 a.m. So you need to find, in other words, like when you go shopping for clothes, you try things on, see how it fits. Same thing in life. You find the things that work for you by experimenting and dabbling and saying, oh, this works. I'll keep that. I'm going to let this go. And the other thing I wanted to touch base, go back a little bit with, is that sometimes we forget that when we say genius and talents, we think it has to be something big. Right? We try to make it bigger or more important. That here, and I sample. A woman years ago, or a few years back, was working. She was going through a career change. The job she had, it was disappearing, and she needed to find something else, and she didn't know what. So I asked her, when you were young, what is something you naturally did? It comes very easy to you. You never went to class for it. You didn't think about it. And one of the things that she loved to do naturally was organize things in closets. She just loved organizing. She would go into her mom's closet or her dad's closet, her siblings, and just organize things in the closet. I think she was 5 or 6 years old. Okay. No one in the house did that. She didn't go to school to do that. It was just something that was naturally hers, her talent. So I said, you know what you would be really, so we talked about it, and we came up is what she would be really good is become a professional declutterer. Helping other people organize their closets. Now, that's not a big thing. It's not going to change the world, but it's going to impact other people in their house. That's when I say your talent, your skills, your abilities, sometimes you need to just stop and think, what comes really easy to, I naturally do. I can't help not do it. It just happens. That's that's your talent. That's your skill. And you can always find ways to use that in the world, in your family, in the workplace. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I want to add to not minimize it. Because I think because it's so easy for us, our talent or genius or whatever, that we tend to minimize it.
Yes.
We tend to think like, well, it's not that hard. Like everybody must be able to do this, right?
Yes.
Right?
I
Like
know.
I'm sure you and I have heard this before, and probably from ourselves
Right.
to start with.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I like that. Don't minimize it. It's
Don't minimize it.
right. So there's something, some of us have a real good sense of math and balancing things mathematically. Some naturally can edit words. Some of us, I think mine is being silly. And can't help it. It just happens. I don't plan it. There it just erupts. So you're going, but how does that work in the world? Here's the thing is, I know that if I am funny, not trying to be funny, just funny, it helps release tension. It helps make it more welcoming. Whenever one of my things I started at a very early age, I think I was a teenager. I found out that if I can have someone laughing on the other end of the phone in 30 seconds, we would have a great conversation. And I don't have jokes in my head. Someone suggested I should become a stand-up comic. No, I don't want to do that. That's way too hard. But I can just, because my humor is part of I think that's actually, if someone said, what would be your superpower? I think it's humor. I think that's what it is. What would be your superpower, Claudette?
Oh my gosh. That's a tough question.
I know, I just came to my
yeah. But I believe that it's the ability to listen to another person and to relate back to them what I heard so that it makes sense to them. And so I enjoy, that's the part I enjoy. And having worked as a hairdresser for many, many years, I learned to listen to people and to listen to their stories and to relate back to them what they heard. And as a coach, I do this with stepmoms as well. And I think one of the things that I've had so many people tell me, the value of being heard. That for them it was priceless. And once you are heard, you tend to open up more. And just like you, Sharona, like once you put people at ease with some humor, they're more willing to open up. And so we all have something. And yeah, sometimes it takes us a while to listen up to or to figure out what it is. And, for a long time I thought, well, like that's not a talent, listening to people. Like, but as I grew up and were integrated with other people, and I realized there's like a lot of people who don't listen, and how it impacts relationships.
Yep.
Because for me, someone who doesn't listen when I'm having a conversation, it just shuts me down. Like,
right. Yes, and I think that's, thank you. And it's interesting as I put out, I just need to thank you, because that is such a beautiful thing about having the talent of listening and then reflecting back. And I know from working with you, you do it very naturally. It's very easy. It was something you probably started while even before becoming a hairdresser. It was something that
when I was this tiny.
Yeah, right. Really, this tiny. So, but I just need to share at this moment, as you were saying your thing, and I was listening and hearing it, but then all of a sudden my little brain was going, wait, humor is not a real superpower. What are you? I want to change it. I want to make it more positive. Yeah, right. And I go, no, it's my superpower. And yes, I have other powers too, but that's what we do. I'm just saying, as women, as people, is right away we go in, wait a minute, that wasn't good enough. I need to. So why I share it is to say, yeah, we all go through this, and then catch ourselves and saying, wait a minute, having humor is enough. Life
Yeah.
is a struggle. It's, you know, um, and because of that, humor helps me relate to other people, and it also gives me empathy, which people don't realize that when I'm being me, it's very warm, very welcoming, and that brings in people, and that allows people to be who they are. And I think the same thing when you listen to someone and they feel that gives them permission to be who they are.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something as as coaches and specialists, that's something that we bring. And so everyone has their flavor. We all need to honor our flavor, our style, our rhythm, because we all have a different rhythm inside.
Yeah. And I love what you said about we all have our own flavor. Like Baskin Robbins have 31 flavors, right? So, we're coming to the end of our time together. And so as we're wrapping up and you're listening to this, I invite you to maybe re-listen and have pen and paper on hand and ask yourself, what is my superpower? What are some of the things that make me unique that I don't need to be comparing myself? And, put away the shoulds and have tos and things like this. And if you need inspiration, look for some leaders, some role models, and do it in a way that, I admire this person for being who she is. Like another one is a coworker of mine, and she has this wonderful business, and I love how she runs her business. And so every time I see her run her business, I'm thinking, I love that she's being very consistent. I love that she has a clear message. So is that something I can do for myself? Authors, there's some amazing authors out there. So think of who is it? Like pick 2 or 3. If you have too many role models, then that becomes confusing. But pick 2 or 3 people that you see as positive role models and keep them for as long as they're for you. You don't need to keep a role model for the rest of your life. And then think about who you can be. And anything else you want to share, Sharon?
And I think one of the things as you were talking, the other thing that, as midlife women, sometimes we feel isolated, and we don't feel that we're doing everything on our own, even if we're in a relationship. So find women to be on your team.
Yeah.
That you can mentor each other, support each other, help yourself thrive, and find a team. Again, I could be a leader, but I need a team around me. And if you really look at any leader, they have a team around them. I personally believe in having a a thrival team. Get a group, thrive together. And just for today, let's just frame for today. For today, know that you're enough. Don't worry about tomorrow. Yesterday is gone. All we have is today. So I say, as a challenge, just for today, let yourself have permission that you're enough.
Yeah.
Just for today.
And there's nothing wrong with you.
And there's nothing wrong with you. So thank you, everybody. Claudette, if a stepmom needs extra support or wants to have a deeper conversation about this, how can they get in touch with you?
So if you're a stepmom and you're looking for ways to build and to create a strong and healthy step family, contact me, go to my website, which is stepmomcoach.com. You can email me at Claudette at stepmomcoach.com. I'm on Facebook, I'm on social media, just about anywhere. So just Google Stepmom Coach and you'll find me on many various social media. And so, Sharona, how can midlife women get in touch with you so that they can thrive in their midlife?
Yeah. Thank you, Claudette. Yeah. And so if you want to have a deeper conversation or you want me to be part of your team, you can reach me at my website, dancingwithchange2thrive.com, or you can email me at Sharona at dancingwithchange2thrive.com. And that's the number 2 in there. And you can find me on Facebook and Google Plus, Midlife Women Dancing with Change, or on Twitter at Consult Sharona. So any of those places you can come in contact with me. And here's another thing. If you find this useful, please share this with others that would be helpful for them. And also, I know Claudette does, and I do. I like to hear your thoughts, your responses about what we're talking about. So please put your comments below, and please subscribe.
Yeah.
Just subscribe. Yay.
This way you won't miss out on any of our future episodes that we'll be creating.
That's right. So thank you all for being here today. Thank you, Claudette, for another fun and informational and inspiring conversation that matters most. Have a good rest of the day, everybody, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye-bye for now.